The mindset of high achievers is not loud, it is not desperate, it is not chasing attention, it is calm, disciplined, and deeply rooted in self-mastery. Before they conquer the world, they conquer themselves. Before they demand respect, they build character. And before they speak about success, they train in silence. Look at the mountain. It does not rush to be tall. It stands firm through storms, through heat, through time. High achievers think like this. They understand that greatness is not an event, it is a process, a daily practice, a way of being. Many people want the reward, but few accept the responsibility. Many people want recognition, but avoid repetition. The high achiever knows that repetition builds strength, discipline builds freedom, and patience builds power. They do not complain about conditions. They adapt. They do not blame others. They reflect. They do not react with emotion. They respond with awareness. Their focus is not on proving others wrong. It is on proving themselves right through action. In moments of discomfort, they do not run away. They stay. They breathe. They observe. They grow. Because they understand that discomfort is a teacher, pressure is a sculptor, and resistance is a path to strength. The mindset of high achievers is not loud. It is not desperate. It is not chasing attention. It is calm, disciplined, and deeply rooted in self-mastery. Before they conquer the world, they conquer themselves. Before they demand respect, they build character. And before they speak about success, they train in silence. Look at the mountain. It does not rush to be tall. It stands firm through storms, through heat, through time. High achievers think like this. They understand that greatness is not an event. It is a process, a daily practice, a way of being. Many people want the reward, but few accept the responsibility. Many people want recognition, but avoid repetition. The high achiever knows that repetition builds strength, discipline builds freedom, and patience builds power. They do not complain about conditions, they adapt. They do not blame others, they reflect. They do not react with emotion, they respond with awareness. Their focus is not on proving others wrong, it is on proving themselves right through action. In moments of discomfort, they do not run away. They stay, they breathe, they observe, they grow. Because they understand that discomfort is a teacher, pressure is a sculptor, and resistance is a path to strength. Discipline over motivation is the quiet law that governs every high achiever. Motivation is a feeling, it rises and falls like the weather. Some days you feel inspired, strong, ready to conquer the world. Other days you feel tired, distracted, uninspired. If your actions depend on how you feel, your results will always be unstable. High achievers understand this truth very early. They do not wait to feel ready. They train themselves to act regardless of emotion. Motivation is attractive because it feels powerful. It gives you a temporary rush of energy. It makes you believe that change will be easy. But discipline is different. Discipline is not loud. It does not depend on excitement. It is a decision repeated daily. It is showing up when no one is watching. It is doing the work especially when you do not feel like it. If you observe your own life, you will see that feelings are unpredictable. Sleep affects them, weather affects them, other people affect them. If you let these external factors control your effort, you surrender your progress to chance. Discipline removes chance. It creates structure. It builds stability. High achievers build routines not because they are rigid, but because they understand the power of consistency. When you wake up at the same time each day, you reduce inner debate. When you train at the same hour, you remove negotiation. Discipline reduces the energy wasted on deciding whether you should act. The decision has already been made. This is why discipline creates freedom. At first, it feels restrictive. You must say no to distractions. You must say no to comfort. You must say no to impulses. But over time, this self-control strengthens your mind. You are no longer a servant to your moods. You become the master of your actions. Consider the difference between someone who waits for motivation to exercise and someone who trains at a fixed time daily. The first person may start strong, full of excitement, but when stress appears or energy drops, the routine disappears. The second person may not always feel excited, but the habit carries them forward. Months later, the disciplined person is stronger not because they felt more motivated, but because they were more consistent. Discipline also builds trust within yourself. Every time you follow through despite resistance, You reinforce your identity. You prove to yourself that your word matters. This inner trust is more valuable than external praise, because when challenges come, and they always come, you rely on your discipline, not your emotions. There will be mornings when your mind whispers, "Rest a little more." There will be evenings when distraction looks more attractive than effort. In those moments, motivation will not save you. What saves you is the commitment you made when you were clear-minded. Discipline is honoring that commitment even when comfort calls your name. High achievers train their minds to detach from temporary feelings. They observe laziness without obeying it. They notice fear without surrendering to it. They recognize boredom without escaping into distraction. This awareness gives them space between feeling and action. In that space, discipline lives. Understand this clearly. You do not need to feel confident to act confidently. You do not need to feel ready to begin. Action often creates the feeling, not the other way around. When you start, momentum builds. When you remain consistent, clarity grows. Discipline creates the environment where motivation can appear, but it does not depend on it. Over time, discipline becomes part of your identity. You are no longer someone who tries. You are someone who trains. You are no longer someone who hopes. You are someone who executes. This shift is subtle but powerful. It transforms effort into lifestyle. When you choose discipline over motivation, you choose long-term strength over short-term emotion. And that choice changes everything. Long-term vision over short-term pleasure is the quiet separation between those who dream and those who achieve. Most people are not weak because they lack talent. They are weak because they surrender to what feels good in the moment. Comfort is attractive. Distraction is easy. Immediate pleasure requires no effort, but greatness demands patience. It demands the ability to see beyond today. High achievers train their minds to think in years, not days. They understand that every small choice is a vote for the person they are becoming. When faced with a decision, they do not only ask, "What feels good now?" They ask, "Where does this lead me?" This question alone changes behavior. Short-term pleasure is powerful because it gives instant reward. Scrolling endlessly, eating without discipline, avoiding difficult work, choosing sleep over training, all of these bring immediate comfort. But the cost is hidden. It appears slowly, in lost time, in missed opportunities, in weakened character. By the time most people notice the cost, habits have already formed chains around them. Long-term vision requires clarity. You must know what you are building. Without vision, sacrifice feels pointless. Without direction, discipline feels heavy. High achievers spend time defining their purpose. They see clearly the person they want to become. This image becomes stronger than temporary temptation. When your vision is strong, saying no becomes easier. You are not rejecting pleasure because you hate it. You are rejecting it because you love your future more. This is maturity. It is the understanding that not all pleasures are equal. Some pleasures strengthen you, others weaken you. Wisdom is knowing the difference. There will always be moments of temptation. You will feel tired and want the easy option. You will feel stressed and want quick relief. In those moments, your vision must speak louder than your impulses. This is why high achievers constantly remind themselves of their long-term goals. They reflect daily, they visualize progress, they reconnect with purpose. Think of a tree. When you plant a seed, nothing impressive appears at first. For a long time, growth is invisible. The roots are forming beneath the surface. If you judge the seed by what you see in the first week, you may believe nothing is happening. But patience reveals the truth. In time, the tree rises strong and stable because the foundation was built slowly. Your life follows the same principle. When you choose to study instead of procrastinate, the result is not immediate applause. When you choose to train instead of rest, there is no instant transformation. When you choose to save instead of spend, the reward is delayed. But these invisible investments accumulate. One day, the results become undeniable. Short-term thinking creates fragile success. It focuses on quick wins, external validation, and immediate gratification. Long-term thinking builds depth. It builds skill. It builds resilience. It prepares you not only to achieve success, but to sustain it. High achievers accept temporary discomfort as part of the process. They understand that growth often feels inconvenient. They are willing to endure boredom while practicing. They are willing to endure loneliness while staying focused. They are willing to endure slow progress while others chase quick excitement. This patience becomes their advantage. Choosing long-term vision also means controlling your environment. You remove distractions that constantly pull you toward pleasure. You surround yourself with people who respect discipline. You design routines that support your goals. You reduce exposure to what weakens your focus, because you understand that willpower alone is not enough. Structure protects vision. Over time, this mindset transforms your identity. You stop reacting to every impulse. You stop chasing every opportunity that shines. You become selective, intentional, focused. Your actions align with your future, not your mood. And when years pass, the difference becomes clear. Those who chased comfort remain average. Those who protected their vision stand strong, fulfilled, and prepared for greater responsibility. When you value your future more than your momentary comfort, you begin to build a life that lasts. Emotional control in moments of pressure is the true test of inner strength. Anyone can appear calm when life is smooth. Anyone can speak about discipline when there is no challenge. But pressure reveals your level. Pressure removes the mask. In difficult moments, you do not rise to your goals. You fall to your training. High achievers understand that emotions are natural, but reactions are chosen. They do not try to eliminate fear, anger, or frustration. They train themselves not to be controlled by them. This is a powerful distinction. You cannot stop emotions from arising, but you can decide how long they stay and how this I influence your behavior. When pressure appears, the untrained mind reacts instantly. Words are spoken without awareness. Decisions are made without reflection. Regret follows quickly. But the trained mind pauses. It creates space between feeling and action. In that space lies power. Imagine a moment of criticism. Someone questions your ability. The immediate reaction may be defensiveness or anger. If you react blindly, you damage relationships and lose clarity. But if you breathe, observe the emotion, and respond with composure, you protect your focus. You remain in control. High achievers practice this pause repeatedly until it becomes natural. Pressure is not the enemy. It is a teacher. It exposes weaknesses that comfort hides. When deadlines approach, when competition increases, when uncertainty grows, your emotional stability determines your performance. If you panic, your thinking narrows. If you remain calm, your thinking expands. Calmness allows you to see options. Panic limits vision. Emotional control begins with self-awareness. You must recognize your triggers. What makes you angry? What makes you anxious? What makes you lose focus? Without awareness, you are a prisoner of patterns. With awareness, you gain the ability to interrupt them. High achievers observe themselves daily. They reflect on their reactions. If they lose control, they do not justify it. They analyze it. They ask, why did I respond this way? What belief created this emotion? How can I improve next time? This reflection transforms mistakes into training sessions. Breathing is one of the simplest tools, yet most people ignore it. Under pressure, the breath becomes shallow and fast. The body signals danger. The mind follows with chaotic thoughts. By slowing the breath, you send a message to your nervous system that you are stable. This simple act restores clarity. It gives you a moment to see who's wisely. Emotional control does not mean suppressing feelings. Suppression creates tension that eventually explodes. Control means acknowledging the emotion without letting it dominate you. You can feel anger without shouting. You can feel fear without quitting. You can feel disappointment without giving up. This balance requires practice. High achievers also understand that words spoken under pressure carry consequences. A single uncontrolled moment can damage years of effort. Therefore, they guard their speech. Silence becomes a strategy. Listening becomes a strength. They know that responding slowly is often wiser than reacting quickly. In competition, emotional control creates advantage. When others lose composure, mistakes increase. When others argue, focus decreases. The calm individual remains steady. Steadiness under pressure builds trust. People rely on those who remain balanced during chaos. This balance is not built overnight. It is trained in small daily moments. When you resist the urge to interrupt, when you choose patience in traffic, when you remain composed during disagreement. Each small victory strengthens your emotional discipline. Over time, these small moments prepare you for larger storms. Life will always present pressure. Expectations will rise, responsibilities will increase, challenges will test your limits. If your emotions control you, your results will be inconsistent. But if you control your response, your performance remains stable. True power is not loud. It is controlled, it is measured, it is aware. When you master your emotions, you master your direction. And in the heat of pressure, your calm becomes your greatest strength. Continuous self-improvement without arrogance is the silent discipline that keeps a high achiever growing long after success arrives. Many people work hard until they achieve something, and then they relax. They allow praise to slow them down. They allow recognition to make them comfortable. But comfort is dangerous when it turns into complacency. Growth stops the moment you believe you have arrived. High achievers understand that achievement is not a final destination. It is a checkpoint. No matter how much they accomplish, they remain students of their craft and of themselves. They ask, where can I improve? What can I refine? What weaknesses still exist within me? This mindset keeps them sharp. Arrogance is subtle. It does not always appear as loud pride. Sometimes it appears as resistance to feedback. Sometimes it appears as the belief that you already know enough. Sometimes it appears as impatience with those who are still learning. The moment you close yourself to learning, you close the door to growth. Continuous improvement begins with humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself clearly. It is recognizing both your strengths and your limitations. When someone offers constructive criticism, the arrogant mind defends, the disciplined mind listens. Even if the feedback is imperfect, there is often a lesson hidden within it. High achievers deliberately place themselves in environments where they are challenged. They do not always seek to be the most skilled person in the room. They seek rooms where they can learn. Being surrounded only by those who praise you weakens you. Being surrounded by those who push you strengthens you. Improvement is also found in the small details. It is easy to focus only on big milestones, but mastery lives in refinement. The athlete reviews technique repeatedly. The speaker analyzes tone and timing. The leader reflects on communication style. Each adjustment may seem minor, but over time these refinements create excellence. There is also a deep inner aspect to improvement. It is not only about skills. It is about character. Are you becoming more patient, more disciplined, more aware? Success without character is unstable. Continuous self-improvement means strengthening the inside as much as the outside. Without humility, improvement becomes ego-driven. You begin to chase recognition instead of mastery. You compare yourself constantly to others. You measure your worth by applause. This path creates insecurity. Because if your identity depends on being superior, you will always fear losing your position. The high achiever avoids this trap. They measure progress against their previous self. They compete with yesterday. This keeps the focus internal. It removes unnecessary comparison. It transforms growth into a personal journey rather than a public performance. There is also courage in admitting mistakes. When you acknowledge an error quickly, you accelerate improvement. When you deny it, you delay growth. Responsibility and humility work together. You say, I can do better, and then you take action. Continuous improvement requires discipline in learning, reading regularly, practicing deliberately, seeking mentorship, reflecting daily, resting strategically. Growth is not accidental. It is intentional. It is scheduled. It is protected. At the same time, humility keeps your heart balanced. It reminds you that no matter how skilled you become, there is always more to understand. It reminds you to treat others with respect. It reminds you that everyone is walking their own path. This balance of ambition and humility creates stability. When success comes, stay grounded. When praise arrives, remain centered. When progress is visible, continue training. The moment you believe you are above improvement is the moment decline begins. True mastery is not loud. It is consistent. It is patient. It is aware that growth has no finish line, and the one who stays humble while improving daily will never stop rising. Consistent action, regardless of mood, is where many people fail and where high achievers quietly separate themselves. Mood is unstable. It changes with sleep, with weather, with conversation, with unexpected events. If you allow your productivity to depend on how you feel, You give control of your future to something unpredictable. High achievers understand that mood is temporary, but commitment must be permanent. There will be days when you feel powerful, focused, and ready. On those days, action feels natural. But those days are not the true test. The real test comes when you feel tired, uninspired, distracted, or discouraged. In those moments, your identity is revealed. Do you act according to your feelings or according to your standards? High achievers build standards that are not negotiable. They decide in advance who they are and how they operate. When the alarm rings, they rise. When it is time to train, they train. When it is time to study, they study. Not because they always feel motivated, but because they have trained themselves to move beyond emotion. Mood often lies. It tells you that rest is more important than effort, even when you have rested enough. It tells you that delay will not matter, even though small delays accumulate. It tells you that one missed day is harmless, even though missed days easily become missed weeks. The disciplined mind recognizes these patterns and refuses to be guided by them. Consistency builds momentum. When you take action daily, even small action, you create rhythm. That rhythm carries you forward. Missing one step may not seem significant, but breaking rhythm makes restarting harder. High achievers protect their rhythm carefully. They understand that progress is rarely explosive. It is gradual and steady. Consider a simple practice like reading 10 pages a day. On one day, 10 pages seem small, but over a year, that becomes thousands of pages. Knowledge compounds, skill compounds. The power is not in intensity alone, but in repetition. This is why consistent action is more important than occasional bursts of effort. There is also psychological strength in consistency. Each time you act despite low mood, you weaken the influence of that mood. You prove to yourself that feelings do not control you. Over time, this builds resilience. You become stable. You become reliable. Others can depend on you, and more importantly, you can depend on yourself. Many people wait for the perfect internal state before beginning. They say they will start when they feel confident, when they feel ready, when they feel clear. But clarity often comes through action. Confidence grows after repetition. Readiness is created by starting before you feel prepared. High achievers do not romanticize struggle, but they accept it. They know that not every session will be perfect, not every day will be productive, but they show up anyway. Showing up is powerful. It maintains discipline. It keeps the habit alive. Even a small effort on a difficult day is a victory. Consistency also reduces emotional extremes. When you act only when excited, you swing between high energy and low productivity. When you act consistently, your performance stabilizes. You no longer depend on emotional highs. You rely on structure. This mindset requires patience. Results may not appear immediately. You may work for weeks without visible change. This is where many give up. But high achievers understand that progress is often invisible before it becomes obvious. They trust the process because they trust their consistency. Over time, your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries when convenient. You become someone who executes daily. This identity shift strengthens every author. R principle. Responsibility becomes natural. Long-term vision becomes clearer. Emotional control becomes easier. Continuous improvement becomes automatic. When you act regardless of mood, you free yourself from the instability of emotion. You build a foundation that does not collapse under stress, and in that steady rhythm of daily effort, greatness quietly takes shape. Purpose-driven effort rooted in service is the highest level of the high achiever mindset. Without purpose, discipline becomes mechanical. Without service, ambition becomes selfish. You may achieve success, but it will feel empty. True fulfillment comes when your effort is connected to something greater than your ego. Many people work hard only to prove others wrong. Some chase achievement only for status, wealth, or recognition. These motivations can create temporary drive, but they are unstable. When praise disappears, motivation fades. When comparison increases, insecurity grows. But when your work is rooted in purpose, your energy becomes steady and meaningful. Purpose answers a deeper question. Why are you doing this? Not what you are doing, not how you are doing it, but why. High achievers spend time reflecting on this. They look beyond personal gain. They connect their growth to contribution. They see their strength as something that can serve others. Service does not mean you ignore your own goals. It means your goals are aligned with positive impact. A strong leader serves the team. A skilled teacher serves the students. A disciplined athlete inspires others through example. When your effort uplifts more than just yourself, it gains depth. There is power in knowing that your improvement is not only for personal pride. When you wake up early to train your mind and body, you are preparing to handle responsibility better. When you develop patience, you create a calmer environment for those around you. When you master your emotions, you prevent unnecessary harm. Your inner work affects others. High achievers understand that influence carries responsibility. If others look up to you, your behavior matters. If your family depends on you, your discipline matters. If your community observes you, your integrity matters. Purpose reminds you that your actions have ripple effects. Service also protects you from arrogance. When success comes, it is easy to believe you are superior. But when your mindset is rooted in contribution, success becomes a tool rather than a throne. You ask, how can I use this position to help? How can my experience guide someone else? This attitude keeps you grounded. There will be moments when effort feels heavy, when progress is slow, when recognition is absent. In those moments, purpose sustains you. If you work only for applause, silence will discourage you. But if you work to fulfill a meaningful mission, silence will not stop you. You will continue because the reason is deeper than validation. Purpose also clarifies decisions. When opportunities appear, you evaluate them through alignment. Does this support my mission? Does this allow me to serve better? If not, you decline even if the opportunity looks attractive. This focus protects your energy. Service creates connection. High achievers do not isolate themselves in superiority. They understand that growth is interconnected. The stronger they become, the more they can support others. The wiser they become, the more guidance they can offer. This cycle creates lasting impact. There is humility in service. You recognize that your talents are not accidents. They are responsibilities. You cultivate them carefully, not only to shine but to illuminate paths for others. This transforms ambition into leadership. Purpose-driven effort also brings inner peace. When your work aligns with your values, there is less internal conflict. You do not feel divided between success and meaning. They become one. Your discipline becomes devotion. Your progress becomes contribution. In the end, achievement without service feels hollow. But achievement aligned with purpose creates fulfillment that cannot be taken away. Wealth may fluctuate, recognition may fade, but the knowledge that you contributed positively remains. When your effort is rooted in service, your success becomes more than personal victory. It becomes shared strength. And that is where true greatness finds its meaning. As we reflect on the mindset of high achievers, it becomes clear that greatness is not accidental. It is built on responsibility, discipline, vision, emotional control, continuous improvement, consistent action, and purpose rooted in service. Each principle is a step on the path to mastery, and each step requires patience, awareness, and dedication. Success is not measured by external applause, but by the strength, focus, and impact you cultivate within and around you. Carry these lessons into your daily life. Let your choices, your habits, and your mindset reflect the high standards you aspire to. Remember that growth is a process, and every action, no matter how small, compounds over time. Stay committed, stay humble, and keep moving forward with unwavering focus. Good luck on your journey toward excellence. Thank you for investing your time in learning, growing, and stepping into the mindset of high achievers. Your future begins with the choices you make today.